In a small, sunburnt village of La Mancha, there lived a thin, aging gentleman named Alonso Quixano. His days were filled with the yellow pages of old books about knights and dragons, castles and damsels in distress. The words wrapped around his lonely heart like a spell. He read until his mind blurred the line between truth and tale. He saw not the dusty plain outside his window but vast kingdoms waiting for justice. And one morning, as dawn painted the fields with fire, he rose from his bed and declared, "I shall be a knight-errant, and I shall right the wrongs of this world." He polished an old suit of armor, patched a broken helmet with cardboard, and named his bony horse Rocinante. For himself, he chose a grander name, Don Quixote de la Mancha, champion of the helpless and scourge of the wicked. Every knight needs a squire, and fate led Don Quixote to Sancho Panza, a short, round farmer with a practical mind and a love for good food. "Serve me faithfully," said Don Quixote, "and you shall govern an island." Sancho scratched his head but followed anyway, mounted on his grey donkey, loyal though doubtful. Their first adventure came quickly. Across the plain, Don Quixote saw 30 giants waving their long arms. "Giants, Sancho. Terrible giants." "Windmills, master," sighed Sancho. But the knight charged with a battle cry. His lance struck the turning sail, which lifted him into the air and threw him flat on the ground. As Sancho helped him up, Don Quixote groaned, "The enchanter Freston has turned them into windmills to rob me of my glory." They rode from village to village, righting wrongs only Don Quixote could see. He freed a group of galley slaves who thanked him by pelting him with stones. He mistook an inn for a castle, prostitutes for princesses, and ordinary peasants for noblemen. But beneath his madness burned something pure, a faith that the world could be better, that courage and honor still mattered. One evening, he looked up at the stars and whispered, "Somewhere out there waits my lady, Dulcinea del Toboso, the most virtuous woman alive." Sancho knew Dulcinea was just a simple farm girl, but he stayed silent. He had come to love his master's impossible heart. Word of the strange knight spread through Spain. Some laughed, some pitied him, others sought to trick him. Yet, wherever he went, Don Quixote spoke with a dignity that silenced mockery. When he entered an inn and knelt before the innkeeper, demanding to be knighted, the man played along, tapping him with a sword while suppressing a grin. Don Quixote rose, glowing with pride. "Now," he said, "I am bound by honor to defend truth and virtue." But the world answered him with laughter. Still, he pressed on, fighting windmills, flocks of sheep he believed to be armies, wineskins he thought were monsters. Each defeat left his body bruised but his spirit unbroken. Sancho pleaded, "Master, can't we just go home?" "Home," said Don Quixote. "Home is for those who have finished their quests. Mine has only begun." Yet even madness can hold wisdom. When they met travelers who mocked him, Don Quixote spoke words that silenced the crowd. "Freedom, Sancho, is the most precious gift heaven has given to men. Wherever freedom lives, there lives honor." For all his delusions, his heart was clearer than most. And sometimes the world, for a fleeting moment, bent toward his dream. Once, after being beaten in a skirmish, a young shepherd helped him rise and said, "Sir, I wish I had your courage." Don Quixote smiled through bloodied lips. "Courage, my boy, is only a dream that refuses to die." Years passed. Sancho's donkey grew slower, Don Quixote's armor rusted. Friends from his village, fearing for his life, devised a plan. A scholar disguised himself as the Knight of the White Moon and challenged him to a duel. "If I defeat you," he said, "you must return home and abandon your knightly adventures." On the beach of Barcelona, the sea roaring beside them, they fought. Don Quixote's strength faltered, he fell to the sand. The victor raised his sword. "Yield." "I yield," whispered Don Quixote, tears shining in his eyes. The dream must sleep. He returned home with Sancho, weary but at peace. Back in his quiet village, Don Quixote lay in bed surrounded by the books that had once given him wings. But now, they seemed heavy with dust and sorrow. "Sancho," he murmured, "forgive me. I was mad. There are no giants, no enchantments, no Dulcinea. Only life, plain and hard." Sancho's eyes filled with tears. "No, master. You were not mad, you were brave. You made me see the world as it could be." Don Quixote smiled faintly. "Then perhaps my madness had meaning." He turned his face to the window, where sunlight danced through the olive trees. "The world will forget me, Sancho, but remember this, dreams are the soul's truth." And as the bells tolled in the distance, Don Quixote, knight of the sorrowful face, drifted into eternal rest. Sancho buried him beneath a simple stone carved with the words, "Here lies Don Quixote, who dreamed the impossible dream, and though defeated, was never truly conquered." Years later, travelers passing through La Mancha still spoke of the strange knight who fought windmills and saw beauty in the plainest things. They laughed, but sometimes, late at night, as the wind turned the old mill's sails, a whisper seemed to rise from the fields. "The world is full of windmills, and we must keep riding." Don Quixote is more than the story of a deluded old man, it is the anthem of all who dare to dream beyond the possible. He fought windmills, but in doing so, he proved that belief itself is the greatest weapon of all.